Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel and another episode review. Because of the issues we had last time, we're taking the choice to do this one in person.
We're back. We're ready to do it again.
We're back. We're ready to do it all over again. This time, we're looking at the big one, the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, Day of the Doctor. Wow, 10 years ago.
We've made it.
10 years ago this aired, 2013. Gosh, it's
only taken us nearly 4 years to get to 10 years ago.
Oh,
hooray!
Horrific. Yes, so obviously we've reviewed everything up to this point. Series 1 to 7 is complete, pretty much at this point. I don't think we'll include the Christmas special in Series 7.
Some may not.
Either way, basically it's complete. Matt Smith's story is almost complete at this point as well. As always, this is a review, not a reaction, because we've seen them before, because we're big fucking nerds. So we watch them live. Most of the time, we haven't seen some of the episodes for a while, so we might have changing opinions. However, I think for most Doctor Who fans, this is an episode that a lot of people tend to rewatch often. Yeah. And I think even us, we watched it. We definitely watched it this year.
Yes.
If not probably a few months ago now. So it's not as blurred in the mind as some others might be.
No.
But still, we may have some insights that we might not have thought of before. I think there's a couple of things that I spotted this time around that I was like, hey, that's interesting. But yes, Day of the Doctor, what did you think of this episode?
It's all right.
This celebration.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. No, I love it. It's amazing. I think it really was everything I wanted it to be, which is impressive in itself. But I think it reached anyone's expectations at the time. Like that, this was everywhere. The hype was real. We watched this episode together live for the first time.
Yeah.
My God, many moons ago.
A whole decade.
God, disgusting. And yeah, I remember being so excited for it. We'd never kind of had an anniversary special like this before.
No, because the last one would have been the 40th, wasn't it? And that would have been 2003. And then I think around that time they announced the show was actually coming back. So they didn't feel the need to do an anniversary.
Yeah.
So this was it. This was the big one.
So it's quite something to kind of actually be part of and be active in, like the fandom and stuff at the time. And here we are again, 10 years later, still doing it, still just part of the hype for the anniversary.
Yeah. Clinging on still.
Our bones are brittle now, and our opinions have changed.
We may not be able to stay up as late to watch it after. It's on past 7 p.m.
Yeah, that's it. I'm out.
Tomorrow.
I'm asleep, I'm afraid.
Can't watch it now.
But yeah, sorry to everyone else in Australia who's had to deal with all this nonsense for literally
years. Or even America, yeah.
So yeah, I was so excited for it, and it was an incredible time then. I think it's still an incredible time now. Yep. Just sitting down to watch it, like, ooh, it's time. Even though literally everything's going to happen, you're still like so excited, because it really does. I think more than any other episode, really bring you back to the time when you first watched it.
Yeah.
So this was amazing. I had cupcakes when I first watched it. It was great. And yeah, this really did feel like fire on all cylinders. I think it's an amazing kind of celebration of the past 50 years of the show, and also it kind of does move it forward in a nice, fun, new direction, which is great. It's kind of what you need it to be, and I can't imagine the pressure everyone felt kind of being part of this.
Especially the writer,
Stephen Moffat having to write this. What the hell? Like knowing no one's going to be completely pleased with this. I'm just going to have to give it my best shot. And organising, getting all these people back, and organising some surprises and keeping them under wraps for 6 months after you've shot the bloody thing. I would have been stressed. And promoting the currently airing series prior to this. No, thank you. So everyone involved must have been shitting a brick. But I really do think it came together and fired on all cylinders. And I genuinely, I think this is the most I've really loved it in ages. I think actually come down to watch it. I mean, I've always obviously loved it, but I really got involved in it this time.
Yeah.
God, this is just. I caught myself thinking, like, this is just so good.
This is great.
So
I'm
many
having
times
so much fun.
I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's part of a great kind of trilogy of stories anyway, in my humble opinion. As I'm sure we'll talk on to next time as well, when I cry. But just in itself as a story, it's surprisingly cohesive. I mean, we'll talk about some certain specifics. I'm about to spoil my first positive. But everyone involved, I think, deserves a right pat on the back I'd buy them a pint if I saw them in the pub. And yeah, it's an amazing special. Really, some funny moments in there. I think it's got all the heart and the emotion that I think an anniversary special should. And yeah, it's an amazing special and an amazing episode and story in its own right. If this was just like part of a standard run, and not like
Power of the Doctor,
which is another amazing episode. How about that? And yeah, it's just an incredible achievement. 50 years in the making, and I think they absolutely smashed it.
100%. Yeah, you could say it's pretty special.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to disagree. I think it is. It's one of them things where even if you've only got a surface level knowledge of the show, you can kind of watch it and it will make sense as well. You think with a lot of times with things like this, and maybe with Power of the Doctor as well, there's an element of you can get into it and be like, what the hell's going on? I've got no idea what's happening, whatever. But I think they do enough here that if you're watching this for the first time, which is a strange jumping on point if this is your first episode, but you could still watch this separately and independently of anything else and still understand what's going on. It's all explained.
I think this is definitely like the flick now to Doctor Who, very much not being ashamed of its past anymore in the new series, and it definitely kind of leans into that more from this point on. Yeah,
and I mean, there's still elements you could criticise because the argument is there that it still maybe focuses too much on modern New Who rather than classic Who, because obviously you do bring back David Tennant, you do introduce a new Doctor rather than
the big New Who.
Yeah, but I think there is enough in there to obviously bring in and reference to the old, to classic Who, and
I'm sure they'll stop doing that in anniversary specials going forward, right?
I mean, hey, Power of the Doctor did not include any new ones. If anything, Power of the Doctor is more of a classic Who
that feels like the centenary
anniversary than anything else. But yeah, I think I cannot in my brain just think how much pressure Moffat would have been under to do this, and the fact that he goes on to do the show for three more seasons at least after this, 4 more years after this.
Yeah, like transitions into a new Doctor all over again.
No, I don't know how.
Imagine just sitting down, just a blank page. Like, I need to write the 50th anniversary special now.
It's gonna be a
feature length.
God,
I'm returning characters, big surprises.
Yeah, it's got to be good,
and it has to be good.
It has to be good. It can't. It can't be just mediocre. It can't just
They're screening this in cinemas. In 1,500 cinemas.
So many people are going to
see this. They're simulcasting this worldwide.
I can't do it. Yeah. Oh, and you could have forgiven him for just doing something very small. You could have also forgiven him for doing something that's just here's all the Doctors just in a room together.
All the Doctors all the time.
Yeah. And for him to come up with arguably not just one coherent story, but 2 coherent stories into one as well.
Yeah,
I think is, or you could argue 3 if you want to take the 3 separate Doctors and just merge them together.
And you have a whole new Doctor to kind of
give
and
there's
one and only
somebody getting and a whole new Doctor to build up to as well with Peter Capaldi coming up. So,
oh my god, that moment where
so much. Yes, as always, we tend to have 3 positives and 3 negatives. It will remain the same for this one, although I'm sure we'll add on some more as we normally do.
Yeah, I've got a paragraph of positives this time.
Yes, I've got quite a few.
I've got things I want to make sure I mentioned, even if I didn't
that's
go into
it. So yes, I think I went first for Name of the Doctor. So Day of the Doctor, what's your first positive?
Mine is the cast.
Yeah, mine's the 3 Doctors, but
I couldn't really single anyone else. Even like the supporting cast, I really enjoyed.
Even the Irish guy,
McGilliv's great. What are you talking about?
Is his acting great?
He's fine.
I don't think his acting's great.
Oh, I was sad they never brought him back.
It's Christmas.
Well, he's a Zygon. He's still working out how to be a human for the first time.
But how could it be you?
You can't believe
you want me to do what? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I like him. I like his role. And yeah, there's like one thing.
Oh, apparently you don't like his role.
He's only there for like 2 episodes. He's harmless in the episode.
I was sad he wasn't brought back. But I suppose if
there's a reason.
If he has to pick 2 of the 3 to bring back, okay, not good. But
Malcolm didn't want to come back either. Although he's there. He is there though.
He is. But yeah, I put McGillip as one of my specific. I just think he's fun. He's fun. He's definitely generic.
Just a funny little guy.
He's there. He's caring for us. He's concerned when she uses her inhaler.
He's just a funny dead guy.
He's just a funny.
Oh no, he didn't die. Actually,
he didn't die. I was gonna say,
that's true.
What?
Right,
I missed that scene.
Imagine he died off screen.
Just spontaneously, just explodes. Nothing, not even related.
It's not there. It just cuts. He's there, and then he's not there. It's done. You don't know why.
He puts the painting down. It just falls on him. And crushes him. That's it.
He's now in the time warp.
The Doctor just crawl over his corpse as they crawl out of the painting. Oh well, sorry, McGillip. That's the way out that one's a Zygon. Like, the real McGillip is dead. Well, that Zygon would just then not be able to be him. But, anyway, a tangent already. We're going to talk for ages about McGillop. But yeah, I love the main cast, obviously. And my first point is, the Doctors and their kind of banter.
Yes. Top quality banter.
They're all so good together. Particularly the pairing of 10 and 11. Like those two work
especially
so well
in the
together.
first scene as well. Like when 11 falls through the portal, I'm like, this is just top tier stuff.
Yeah.
When they're comparing screwdrivers.
Because it could have easily just gone so wrong. Because you don't know how they're going to interact. No. You don't know how, Tennant and Smith are going to get on. But it just works so well.
It's the same way as I think if you put 9 and 12 together, it would be the same.
Yes.
But if you put 9 and 11 together, or 10 and 12, it wouldn't work. But having the two sort of, they're the same but different.
It's like bickering brothers, like right from the off, and it's so good. And like they can be really funny together. Like when they notice each other's glasses, that's my favourite moments in anything.
What you do in your own regeneration, in the privacy of your own regeneration.
One of those is like, shut up. It's also good. And then even when they're like pissed at each other, and how could you forget something like that? It just works. It's very, very cool. And then adding John Hurt into that. Imagine the pressure of working with fucking John Hurt.
Oh, I know.
And like you still have this like really great camaraderie with him. Yeah. And again, John Hurt said yes to this about like a week before filming, and like he's amazing in it. It is genuinely, his performance is outstanding.
Except for when he comes around the corner like Big Mum is my tail on the at the start. I was like, wait a minute,
soldier, I threw up.
That's
I mean, I do like that shot of him.
Yeah, the way it's like, cool. just go on set,
But I did. Yeah, he did shit himself in moments before that. But yeah,
it was the last scene of the day. He didn't want to be there anymore.
God, everything I say, you just criticise already. You just hate this episode.
It's just so many iconic moments. That's the thing. It's so really memorable.
There really is, and we can talk about that later on. But yeah, I do like the introductory shot of him. But yeah, it was like, well, this goes on a bit too long, doesn't it? It takes him a bit too long to get around here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the three of them together, it's so great.
Mm-hmm.
And just what they introduced, the idea of like they're ashamed of being a grown-up because of this older incarnation who did this terrible thing. It's good,
even though he's younger as well.
Exactly, yeah. And just the idea of like the same software, different face is such a cool idea for the sonic screwdriver, and then for that,
and even the TARDIS, if you want to expand
and the TARDIS, yeah. So all of that is so good. John Hurt's performance when he's about to press that button and he's like, "Be the Doctor I can never be." God, the way he delivers that "make it worthwhile" line is fucking hell. So it does help that I think War is written very well. Like the great men are forged in fire. It's the privilege of lesser men to light the flame. What a fucking good line. Holy shit.
And especially because he's got like it's you've got such like a blank slate to write that as well, because there's no baggage of because you know that no matter who he was before with the 8 and stuff, there's no left over there. There's no I have to honour that. Similar to, when we get into New Who generations 9 to 10, there's that element of he came before, so we kind of have to meld that. 8 knows he's going to go into this being this terrible person, so you have just a blank slate of I can do whatever I want with this role.
And if you want to see what a young War Doctor's like, Big Finish is there for you.
There certainly is.
Because John Hurt did a season before
he did one, and then it has been continued
they
as well.
Are continuing it.
I think there's at least 3 War Doctor ones, and I think there's a War Doctor Begins as well, which I think is the 8th Doctor.
Right.
Like the bit before he turns, it's like, the Time War started, and then it merges in. So there's stuff there now. But
so
at the time there wasn't.
There's obviously enough of a success here in John Hurt's performance and everything that to introduce a new Doctor and be like, no, he's part of the lineup now, like accept it. And people did, test him. And I mean, it is because he's a man. And also getting John fucking Hurt, insane. So that also certainly helps, and he was amazing. And the 3 of them together, just when they're taking the piss out of like Sand Shoes and Chin and Grandad, iconic. A level of that. One line I did forget that really made me laugh. It's like, "You're me." Even that one? Yes! That's so good. I love that bit. So yeah, they're all great. I think there were a few.
When they all forget to open the door.
That is one of my. There's 2 belly laughs in this episode every single time. It's when they work that out and Clara runs in. It's like, it wasn't locked. Hilarious. And also David Tennant's delivery of "I'm gonna be king." It's so good. Those are my 2 belly laughs of the episode. So yeah, getting David Tennant back. Obviously, it had been a few years since he left the role.
Literally
at this point.
A few years.
Literally 3 years. And he comes back, and technically he had never been away, because I guess he still did do some stuff with the character, I think, at this point. Not as much as he did after.
Yeah, I don't know how much I know he returned to Big Finish more after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how much he did.
He was probably always doing parties and stuff for his kids.
Well, yeah, it's true.
So yeah, iconic. It was great to get him back, and just kind of seamlessly blend into the role. He's great, and I'm sure we'll get more of that in the 60th as well. And maybe we get more of 10 and 11 in the 60th. That'd be nice, because I like those two together. Please. And then Jenna Coleman. Obviously, we know how I feel about Jenna Coleman. Mm-hmm. She's great in it. I do like the scene where Clara kind of technically saves the Doctor again, gets him to rethink this whole decision.
God, bloody woman doing that.
Oh my God, Clara,
God's sake.
But yeah, she's great. And getting Kate Stewart back is nice, because just in itself, her existence is like a classic Who reference, so that's nice. And the fact that they do bring up Brigadier a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And she just holds her own against those icons.
She's great.
Fuck those icons.
She's great.
She's again an icon. We love her. Osgood obviously does become a fan favourite, and we do see her pop up a few more times in pretty major ways. So she kind of just becomes more than a classic series reference with her scarf and everything. And she's really fun in this. I do really like Ingrid Oliver as an actress.
Yeah.
So she's great. We talked about McGillip in surprising depth already, so I liked him.
I don't mind him. I just think his performance.
I know it's too late. You said it now. You said it now. I really, really like the General Time Lord guy.
Yes,
that actor's great.
Both of the people, I think, both of those Time Lords.
But particularly the old man. He's great. Yeah. And I'm glad they're getting back in Hellbent.
Yes,
because he's a great performance,
and I think
he's still playing the part.
Yeah, I say he's also
because of course
well,
he is.
Naturally,
he has such a commanding presence. He's great. So I really enjoyed him and all the little Time Lord bits we get from them. Mm-hmm. The Zygons, great performances from Paul Casey, and obviously it is Nick Briggs doing the voice of the Zygons because he does all the voices. So he's great.
He did a lot of work this episode then. Daleks and Zygons.
Yeah, he booked him busy. Yeah. And Stacey from Gavin and Stacey is back. She's back to TV as
Stacey
Queen
times
Elizabeth.
Two. Yeah,
times two. Yeah, everyone's playing double roles of this special. They really signed up for a lot, really.
Yeah.
And I thought she was a fun little presence as well. It's kind of one of those classic "How did Elizabeth?"
It's a nice callback, isn't it? And it's not one that has like too much of an in-depth background, and you don't need to worry about it too much.
Yeah, because they do kind of reference it in End of Time anyway, when he's like Virgin Queen. So he's already gone and done something, but now we see what he's gone and done.
And you also see it with
marries her, then never sees her again for like years and years. So that's great. Obviously, a very delightful cameo from Tom Baker near the end. Doing what he does best. His first return to the part, ever. So that's a pretty big deal at that time. And Billie Piper, I genuinely think she's great. Now,
I'll go on to my opinions on Billie Piper's inclusion.
Now, I will play devil's advocate here and say, yes, they probably could have gotten anyone else to play this part, and anyone from the classic series to kind of fill those shoes, like Susan or something.
Yeah.
Would they have given as good of a performance as Billie Piper?
Well,
I'm going to say no.
That's the other thing. From a performance standpoint, I think she does
justify it.
It's because she can work with something new, and she doesn't have to be in that Rose mold. So it's nice.
And it doesn't kind of take away from Rose's story, which is obviously what they wanted and what Billie Piper wanted for it. And she is a very, very popular companion, a very popular actress in all of Doctor Who. So getting her back, but still doing a twist with it, I thought was fun. She really won me round this time on her being the moment. And her and John Hurt, I think, had some great moments together. So I thought she generally was one of my favourite performances this time around. So I really enjoyed her. So this was a very long positive because I'm just talking about literally everyone in it.
Every character in it,
But they're great. Even
what about the school guy at the start?
School Doctor. And
God, are you okay?
It's my first day. Been here 10 years. That guy's great as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So even just little bits and pieces and the little side things. Everyone kind of knew what a big deal this was. They put their heart and soul into those performances. Particularly, John Hurt was a huge.
But their whole actresses into this.
Actressy. It doesn't matter. But yeah, everyone's fantastic, and it's a top tier cast for a top tier episode, basically.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Yeah, my first main positive is just I've specifically said the sort of three Doctors mainly because of not the episode, the three Doctors in this one, mainly.
The three Doctors is good too.
But just their chemistry throughout the whole thing.
It's the heart of it.
Yeah, they really put it together. If it wasn't, I mean, you might have it with other Doctors, but I think if you put a 9 or a 12 in there, I mean, now, if you just put 9 in there, at the time, I don't know if the chemistry would have worked as well, just because I'm not sure how it would have...
No, behind the scenes.
And that.
Probably would have shown up a bit.
Yeah, but I think that, the chemistry between the three works really well. Even just 10 and 11 is great. I don't think we really get that many... We don't get any moments, I don't think, between just the War Doctor and each of them individually, which is probably a bit of a shame, but... I still think that with them all folded together and all interested, I think it's great. And you can see how the War Doctors sort of won around by, I'm comfortable knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you can see that they you can see it in the character's performance. Both of them, it's the thing that we always talk about a lot, is that it's great when 10 and 11 have those moments of, I'm angry, I'm depressed. And both of them do a good job of showing the range of emotions on both of their doctors and throughout the thing. And they've had a number of different, arcs at this point. They're both nearing the end of their character arcs at this point. So it's easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to play it as I did last time. It's not great. But you can see the gap between the two of them, which I think is great.
It's just fun, like knowing what a fan Tennant is of the show as well. He must have been so excited to be asked back to come back, and I think that shows in his performance. And I'm sure there normally is the doctors will meet up, like the incoming doctor. They normally do meet up and have dinner and stuff. I know Smith and Capaldi and stuff had dinner when he took over, and so there is that good relationship behind the scenes. And I think a lot of that does come through. And of course you're going to respect John Hurt, so working with him, I think also just really shines through. I know John Hurt said how much he loved working with Billie Piper and how much he loved her as an actress, so I think that shows on screen as well. I mean, imagine being Billie Piper, my scene partner for this entire special, not only my back after all these years.
Piper,
Well, we're from Swindon. We can kind of imagine it.
We're pretty close. Yeah.
We can sort of imagine
We're closer than most.
Then I look in the mirror, and then the illusion's somewhat shattered. But there you go.
Only somewhat.
My life is never the same, and I can never recover. But I forgot what my point was. But I agree.
Fair enough.
Whatever you said.
So what's your second positive then? You're going to do a lot. You've done a lot of talking, I'm afraid. But,
my jaw hurts already. It hurts. John hurts. And I haven't even done the fun facts yet. But my second one is just the balance of it being a celebration and also then setting up the future. So how the story is handled and how it plays out, I guess, is my way of kind of going for that. So there are a lot of new elements in there, but it also does harken back, obviously, lots of Easter eggs to the past and directly referencing stuff like the Time War, and actually seeing the Time War after 8 years of it being talked about is kind of huge. So that was great, and all the doctors showing up at the end, which is just
Doctor.png. Not that one, the other one, the one they're on the TARDIS. No, not Doctor.png.
Please,
come on to
Doctor.png. I think we probably will, yes. It's a shame. And so seeing all these classic doctors do have a role in it. Obviously Tom Baker at the end and his little cameo, even setting up 14's existence potentially as well.
And Clara's future as well.
Saving Gallifrey is obviously a huge deal, and that can set up at least the first couple of Capaldi seasons as well, and where all that leads until the Master kills the world again.
I found it hilarious when John Hurt's like, I don't know. Well, I wonder if we'll ever know. I'm like, you're going to find out in the next episode if you say it, so you don't have to worry for long, mate. It's the next episode.
You'll never find out, buddy. But,
it'll be a while till you find out.
Yeah.
For Matt Smith, it's like in 2 hours. He's finding out in 2 hours.
Basically. So all very well and good. And just lots of background stuff like Clara working at the school and everything now, where it all began all those moons ago.
All the little pictures of everyone.
Yeah, all those pictures. You want to find out exactly
who
they all were. Fucking hell,
well.
You'll find out.
Jack's Vortex manipulators.
Lots. I mean, I've got a whole list of things that you may have not noticed in these past 10 years that we can get onto. All of that's great. Obviously, Saving Gallifrey is cool, and then Zygons being introduced. It's kind of a big returnee from the classic series, and sets up a very good Capaldi story in a couple of years. Secret Invasion, My Secret Invasion.
The good Secret Invasion.
The good Secret Invasion. I say having not seen Secret Invasion myself.
I've only seen half of it, which as somebody that watches a lot of Marvel stuff, is probably not a good sign.
Okay. Let that sit there. But there's so much kind of good stuff, and the fact that that side story with the Zygons and everything, the way they resolve that then informs the War Doctor to be like, these guys are actually great, and I can go and do this now. I do like how it comes together in that sense. It also just pleases David Tennant, who loves the Zygons, so that's nice too. Good for him. I think you could have easily then either way and been like, no, we're not referencing any of that. all modern references and stuff, so that loads of people come in so they can come and fancy David Tennant. Fancy John Hurt, or they just lean into that entirely, and then it's like, what on earth is going on? And it's just like sucking your own dick for 75 minutes. So I think there's a great balance of that, and I think the story the 50th tells is all the better for it, and I think that really does shine through.
I think that's fair enough. My next one's a bit similar to yours. I mean, not kinda. The Time War storyline. The look we get at the Time War. I think since it's been talked about so much, you always get the, oh my god, what's it going to be? And I think they do a good job of showing the end of it here. Sort of
the
how
last day.
Everything's just been like, oh fuck this. It's like, oh, well, guess we'll keep fighting, and just the desperation of everyone to just have it be done with.
Yeah, it's a great way of also getting the Daleks in the 50th, because they have to be, but they're not the 50th.
They're not the villain of the 50th, really, are they? But yeah, I think it's done so well. It's so dramatic. It's so well shot. It's such like a grand scale that a normal episode probably wouldn't be able to pull off.
Yeah.
Both with just the set pieces and the CGI as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, since Big Finish and comics and all sorts have done other stuff in the Time War, so they can go a bit madder with the designs for stuff.
The Daleks look really great in that setting, I think, in that light.
Yes,
it's so cool.
They definitely look horrific as well. Like if you were there and had them coming at you, horrifying.
Yeah, and then the TARDIS just fucking wrecks them.
Yeah.
Amazing. Strike.
Just smashes them. Amazing. Just a little squid boy just goes flying.
Just like.
But yeah, I think it's great. I think it's obviously you couldn't really do a big epic story without having this involved, especially because it's been such a big part of New Who. And if you want to celebrate the whole of this side of it feels very much like the New Who side of the 50th. The Zygon stuff is very classic Who.
This was clearly like Moffat knew right from the start, like it's going to be a Time War focus.
Yeah, and it also
helps
sort of bring an end to 9, 10, 11's sort of arc as well.
Yeah, and getting all the missing regenerations is it does feel like boom, and now we can really start fresh with the party. Now we can kill Smith.
Now we can just go on,
start fresh
kill Matt Smith and move on.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the Time was great. The War Council, which we've already spoken about, and the General Guy, it's great. I think it's shot really well.
And the fact that they mention like all the High Council have their own plans. Their plans already failed. That's obviously Rastalon and all his little gang in End of Time. So I like that there's a little reference to
Bond.
That. Yeah.
James Bond's fucking shirt.
Fucking James Bond.
But yeah, I really like it. I think it's great. I really like when we have the Time Lords back. I know that Russell doesn't really like the Time Lords and having them involved, hence why he killed them off in the first place.
Just cleaner.
Yeah, but I do like whenever and I've spoken about it a number of times. I like it when we get Time Lords. I like it when we get some nice lore heavy stuff, and I like it when we get some proper like action as well. Because a lot of Doctor Who will be small skirmishes, maybe a couple of fights every now and then.
Yeah.
But it's very rare where they have something on this scale.
Yeah.
So I think it works really well in this scenario, and it works quite well in the next episode as well with the whole Trenzalore fight scenes as well. I think not to the same extent, but I think it works quite nicely.
Yeah.
And they tie themselves together nicely as well. Your final main positive.
Yes. All 13.
Yes, that's my one. Saving Gallifrey scene.
It's the best moment in Doctor Who. And I'm sorry if you disagree, you are just wrong.
Yeah.
I will say you're just wrong. You can have your own opinion, but it is wrong. I mean, just that hype when you see William Hartnell show up on that screen. Holy fuck, they're all here. And then even more than you think are here, because Peter Capaldi's bloody there as well.
He's got some eyes.
But hang on.
Now we're forced into keeping this TARDIS for at least one more season.
Oh my god. I mean, they don't have the money. After this, they didn't have the money to get a new one anyway.
They couldn't afford it.
They put in a Blackboard and that's it.
The whole of Capaldi's, adding some more books to the Blackboard.
It's the best TARDIS set, so why would you change it? But yeah, it's just an amazing moment. When the music hits and you see all those TARDISes fly in. It's just insane. A great way of including and referencing the classic Doctors and giving them all, a little brief moment.
Even though, it's all archival footage, but you don't, in the moment, you're not like, oh my god, I remember that episode. You believe that it's, except maybe with the exception of the Ninth Doctor's extended cameo, shall we say.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it.
You will watch the Parting of the Ways after this episode.
Wait a minute.
Is that bit?
He lied to me. That's not his next trick.
He's done this trick before. But yeah, I love the way of kind of including them all in such an epic moment. And it's only fitting, I think, the best moment in the show so far certainly had all the Doctors in it so far. It really is like a punch to the air kind of moment.
And because it's all on the hologram as well, you don't have to worry about some of it being black and white. Yeah. Because you can keep it like, it's just all blue. Yeah. It's all just that one colour.
It's a clever way of kind of getting around that as well. Yeah. They will flip some of the images. It's like, no, it's not from that story. Of course
don't
not.
worry about it. It's
definitely not.
Quickly. Don't worry about it.
And they took audio from other stories and like meshed them all together.
Yeah.
So I think it works really well.
Yeah.
Especially for noobs like us who haven't probably seen all of those anyway.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing kind of, I guess, mini sequel to the whole Clara stuff and Name of the Doctor with the old Doctors. So it kind of ties that together in a nice way as well. Them all coming to save Gallifrey. It's great. Especially seeing like 1 and 2 in this environment who, they didn't mention Gallifrey by name until John Pertwee anyway. So yeah, it's really cool to kind of see New Who and Classic Who come together perfectly in that moment to save Gallifrey from this Time War. It speaks for itself. I think that moment. It's insanely good, and it still slaps 10 years later.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the only thing I was thinking at the time was like, oh, it would have been good if we saw them like go back to the First Doctor and be like, hey, buddy, remember to do this in, now and then also later on. But and I think if
that might be a bit too fan wanky.
Yeah, maybe there's an element of that. But I also
Let's halt this story to say, remember this.
Don't forget this. Especially because they do a whole thing with a screwdriver, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Maybe if the First Doctor had been recast for longer at this point, because obviously this was around the same time that Adventure of Time and Space came out. So I think if they did this now, they probably would do a thing like that.
Yeah.
Because it's more of an accepted, way to do it.
Yeah.
But you could have even included it in Twice Upon a Time and be like, hey, don't forget to do this.
Yeah.
But
it would have been fun if Capaldi had gone and done it in Twice Upon a Time.
that would be hilarious. Oh shit! Oh fuck!
He's just about to change. Oh wait! Shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and even that is just a great callback to the same software, different face kind of thing with a screwdriver and everything. It's like I started that calculation all these years ago.
Yeah, it's great.
So good.
The whole climax of this episode is top tier.
Yeah. Writing that must have felt so good.
Yeah, and they all appear. Yeah,
everyone is here. Like Smash Brothers
including Peter Capaldi.
Including the next one.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute.
Hooray!
See you in a month, Peter.
Who you only just saw a week ago in his reveal, or whatever it was.
It was 3 months ago.
Oh,
but sure.
Right.
It's still that was probably the biggest surprise of all was Peter Capaldi being
true.
it.
Yeah,
it was insane. I remember my face lighting up with joy.
Yes.
Hang on, that's the next.
Wait
guy.
a minute.
They clearly haven't got his costume yet.
No. Yeah, I mean that's my third positive as well. It's just that whole scene is just excellent. It's just great. You can, I also like the idea that they went back and graffitied that wall again before going and doing this.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I need to change what I've said.
Yeah.
Thanks. But yeah, additional positives.
Right, here we go. The music in the Time War bit when it first cuts and then all the orchestra and stuff. I think that it's just
the Dalek music.
Yeah. The direction of the episode, I think, in general, it's great.
It's very cinematic.
This is Nick Curran, who's my favourite Doctor Who director. Sadly, this is his last Doctor Who story he's directed. But yeah, what a way to go out. Why would you want to come back after this? To be honest,
nothing else
the episode the world is watching. I'm good now. And
see you later.
He just had all the hits. So if you're going to go out with the 50th anniversary. He's great, and clearly the production at this point really trusted him with it because this is a big one to kind of find a director for. So. All his previous episodes looked amazing. So this one was no exception. The TARDIS smashing through the Daleks, iconic.
Squid Boy.
Just even the shot of the TARDIS on a crane, it's just so bizarre. It's kind of ingrained in all my memories.
Yeah.
Particularly because everyone remembers seeing that filmed outside
Yes,
the museum.
I remember that,
the on location footage. That was kind of the first days of filming, I think. So everyone remembers seeing all that. I did like watching it this time, seeing all the crowds in the background, just watching filming.
I was like, they're not there for that. They're not really
They're not there thinking, what's all this then in universe?
They're there for Matt Smith.
It's Matt Smith.
Yeah.
It's Jenna Coleman. Oh my god, it's Doctor Who. Oh my god, that woman's wearing Tom Baker's scarf. So yeah, I loved all of that. Just zooming into the paintings and everything and seeing all the inner workings of that world and how that all ties into the main story. It looks great. And the shadow of the War Doctor being his first big appearance in the episode. Granted, yes, it probably should have been a bit quicker. They probably could have sped up a bit. But it's still a great way of kind of introducing the War Doctor into the special. So all of that was great, just how it was directed. And then just the production in itself. I think Gallifrey looks amazing.
Yeah.
I love the end titles as well, where the Doctor's face is coming through is great. The moment, I think, is one of the best design props the show's ever had. It looks incredible. I love all of that. The Zygon costumes and everything, it's great. Their transformation when Kate spits out that shit.
Horrible.
Disgusting. I love it. And they really lean into that.
That's where the CGI budget went.
Yeah, and they lean into that in the Zygon 2 part as well. And it's absolutely vile.
Great.
So I love how that all works. The same software metaphor, I love how that kind of came in. I've already talked about the laugh out loud moments, the Doctor showing up, and Tom Baker's cameo is probably my main extra positive. That's just such a lovely thing to get him back in his 70s, bless him.
Yeah.
And to, he declined to return when he was first offered for the Five Doctors. So this is his first proper return to the part on screen in an episode. And what a way to do it. It's a great way of, again, blending classic and New Who. He was the Doctor in the classic era.
Yeah.
So to see him kind of come back in a fun little way as like the curator and everything, it's nice because you might just think they leave that open ended, like how did that painting get there? Because David Tennant's like, oh, I guess we never know everything, do we? And they could have left it as that if they wanted to.
They've probably done something in Big Finish.
They absolutely have, I'm sure. Because Colin Baker's the curator now, so
of course
anything can happen, I suppose. But yeah, that's a lovely little cameo from him as well. So just so much to love. I could go on and on, but I'm not going to because my jaw hurts.
That's fair enough. Yeah, a lot of mine are pretty similar, to be fair. I think the opening, and I messaged you about this, the opening credits, I guess. So everything from when the TARDIS gets grabbed to when it's put
that
down.
In the cinema must have been amazing.
God, just even watching it, I'm like, the big music,
yeah.
The way he's just across everything, and the names coming up, and I'm like, whoa,
yeah.
It's
I listened
great.
to that song earlier today when I was like, right, my phone back. It's him.
So good.
Cool.
And I love it so much, I will ignore that you can see Matt Smith's hand strap when he's coming down. I'll just say it's like a TARDIS safety feature. He just wanted them to keep him safe, so they latched.
You see Jodie working on the bottom of the TARDIS. I'm sure we'll stop this. Let's go Gadget TARDIS.
It's
basically,
fine.
it's fine.
Almost.
The fact that Matt Smith did all that himself as well.
Oh yeah, all that. He went up in a crane and went down again. He didn't go across London.
That's a lot to do.
I know, but didn't go across London attached.
You didn't know he did?
No, I do know because the CGI helicopter looks terrible. But yeah, I think that's the top tier. I said to you that I don't think the opening credits have ever been that good since.
Yeah.
With maybe the exception of Peter Capaldi's guitar solo.
That's true. That's right.
But I think this one just for the scale and the sort of the oh my god.
It's something very different as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because
they did the opening at the start of
there's no proper big title sequence. There's just here's your classic one, and now we're into it.
Yeah.
The Zygons are great. I think they look great and gross. I like their introduction where he thinks it's the Queen, but
it's a horse. That's a great twist.
I think that's great. I think the transformation is gross and disgusting, which is fine. I also really like the interactions between Ten and the Queen, especially when he's like, I know you're fake.
Yeah,
because
you're such a bad copy.
And he's like,
and I love Eleven's in the background, get him, get him, King. And then she's like,
get out,
what the fuck are you talking about?
And then it's like, well, no, adding context to my previous remarks, he sort of backs away.
It's so good.
I think it's great. I think that whole chemistry, and then he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to get married now.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm gonna be king.
So I really like that.
And him with the rabbit.
Yeah,
Iconic.
yeah. That's one I think we'll come on to another bit, but where it's sort of forced references.
Yeah.
I think this one's a funny one. It's played quite nicely, and I quite like that one. Although it can be a bit but it's funny because it's a rabbit.
The forced reference does lead into my first positive. So we'll come on to
first positive, first negative.
My first negative.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll come on to that.
I've had many positives.
And Tom Baker, I think I was watching it for the Curate, and I was like, this is so good. I'm like, you can see he's having an absolute whale of a time in this role.
Yeah, just
he's
doing
relishing.
All his he always did that, nose.
He's relishing just being in that role and having sort of more of a freedom, I think, to not be hamstrung by his previous incarnation.
My dad talks about that scene all the time. It's his favourite bit in Doctor Who.
Exactly.
And this is something that John Pertwee is his favourite Doctor.
Yeah.
So, when he's like that about Tom Baker, it's just such a special moment. And it's so cool.
It's also interesting that now as well, after 13 Zero, you could argue that maybe he's a pre-Hartnell Doctor as well. Because even he says, you could be me.
Yeah.
I could be you or you could be me. That kind of leans into
when he's talking about revisiting a few, he might mean he was the original face.
Well, exactly. That's the thing.
You never know.
And I like that he's never he might be a Big Finish now, they might have placed him, but I like that he's never sort of on screen at least said, I'm at the end of your life or whatever.
Hello, I'm Doctor 147.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing like that. So I appreciate it. Yeah, just it's so much to like about this. The music doesn't bother me as much as I thought it used to, because I used to have a really big thing about it being just.
I've actually put up with this for 10 years of you moaning.
I know. And there's an element of I still think there should be more originality in the music for it.
There is some fun facts about where they reuse music that they cut. So.
Yeah, and
stay tuned.
I do like a lot of the big scenes in this. The music in them works very well, and I like the music that's included.
They cut Rose's theme from when Bad Wolf first appears.
That's probably why, to be fair. Of course that. But yeah, I really liked it. I cannot really criticise it too heavily. Obviously, we will criticise it because we're now going to go on to our negatives.
We have to. But
That's our rules.
That's our format.
So negatives. Your first. Well, we might line up quite nicely with these negatives.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Your first negative.
The War Doctor's regeneration.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Talk about forced thing. I just think that Ears line's rubbish.
Really?
The ears are a bit less conspicuous. Like, would you really say that?
I more like it because
I think your ears are fine.
I think it's
John.
definitely a forced thing because obviously the Ninth Doctor's like, oh, my fucking ears.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they? You know?
I just think there's such a big hoo-ha about like a Doctor's last line and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. I like that he's kind of regained, I guess, a cheekier side of himself now that he's like, I'm the Doctor again.
Now that
Hooray
he's
for me.
free of the burden of war.
Yeah, so I do like that, but I don't know. It feels a bit ham-fisted to me, and just the fact that like often my times, the episode's nearly over. I guess I need to die now.
I need to die. I think it makes sense for him to regenerate there.
I just wish maybe like a bit of like he walks and then he starts like stumbling or something. It's just not build it to. It just starts regenerating.
Yeah,
like,
it does feel like they went, oh shit.
I guess I am wearing a bit thin.
Yeah,
it really screams like there's 5 minutes of the episode.
They sort of finished film and went, oh, actually, we should get him regenerate. Can you get back on the set for 5 minutes, please? Yeah.
So I like that he regenerates a big smile on his face and stuff. And I like you just see elements of 9 kind of appear.
Yeah.
But it still feels a bit clunky to me, that whole thing. Especially because like, he gets such a nice goodbye scene with the other Doctors and stuff. Yeah. It just feels a bit tacked on.
Yeah, I guess they probably didn't want to finally give 8 a regeneration and not have that.
I'm glad there's one in there. I want one in there. I just think
the
way it was handled
maybe
could have been a bit more finished.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think to get that, you'd probably have to lose Tom Baker.
Perhaps.
To include that at the end, maybe.
I need an extra 10 seconds of him stumbling.
To be fair, just make it 5 minutes longer. It's 1 hour 16. What kind of a runtime is that? Make it 1 hour 20.
Cowards.
Easy. Extra 4 minutes. It's fine.
How the Doctor was an hour and a half.
Exactly. Speaking of force, my first negative, that I don't want to go.
Oh, I like that.
I don't mind it. I think
I will admit the setup for it is the clunky with the Genzler conversation.
I've hardened it. I've hardened to it more since it first came out.
Right.
I think we've reversed clearly because I quite liked it when it first came out. I don't think you liked it. But I think we've switched.
Well, I don't like the these teeth things. It's his first line is 14. So come on, what are you? But this I like that it retains his last line in the show as I don't want to go.
Yeah, but then I think
nice.
I think that's the thing. But I wouldn't. It could have just been anything though, because then I think if that's what you're gonna do, then just don't bring any Doctors back if they're going to be forced into the box of having to still have that same ending on screen. For example, if Matt Smith came back in the 60th, you wouldn't want. Oh, I don't know. What's his last line?
I always remember where the Doctor was.
Yeah. Do you want that to be? No. So
I think that it'd be a lot harder to make that work in context. I feel
well,
in context
you never know.
Work,
I think
because of what the Doctor's got going on. I think you
fix it. And they just give him a memory worm.
I suppose.
I couldn't forget. I always remember when the Doctor was me and just throw the memory one way. But
we'll never know unless they do it.
No, which they might in the 60th, but we'll never
no, he's not in the 60th. So it's fine.
Of course. But yeah, I just think you could just have a better line.
I think that's fair.
Just because it's also very big. He said the line. Everybody clap. Everybody clap.
There was a pause for applause.
Yeah. So I think.
And with did you just say Bad Wolf?
Yeah. Well, yeah, both of those I think are
yeah, the Bad Wolf girl. Kiss you, that doesn't feel like very war to me.
No, yeah, it's just it's fine. I get it, but maybe that's an element of Moffat not wanting to undo, because obviously with 11 and the war, they're both his things.
He doesn't want to touch Russell stuff too much.
Yeah, and he can't really do much because if you think about where
he probably did learn from this because he gives one a different final line, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
So maybe he didn't like.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not like he's come back from the dead and you've got to, do something. He's still just having normal conversations with people. Because then it kind of also cheapens the end of time.
14's last line is going to be, "I'm ready to go," anyway, isn't it? Piece of Tom Crowd, so. yeah, that probably will be the case. This technically is going to be his new last line.
It's fine. I can deal with it. It's not like oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. But I just think it's just a bit forced for me.
Fair enough.
Your second negative?
Just a few continuity things I noticed. Really, again, I'm nitpicking at this point because I only really didn't like the regeneration. It's just Matt Smith's hair kind of flops out of the fez when Ten's kissing one of the things, and the next shot it's all tucked back in again. And I just think it's so obvious. I'm like, come on. I guess they had to rush to make you look this.
There's a couple of David Tennant's hair in the barn as well.
And when Ten gets married to Liz and she's like kissing him, she moves his collar up.
Oh,
And then
right.
when they part, it's fine. I'm like, and I think the worst one is when Matt Smith's script is on the TARDIS console, just in the middle of the shot when he's like talking to the Gallifreyan people. Like you can just see it's a Doctor Who script, and it's so funny. But you know, there's just a few things like that. I don't normally notice many continuity issues.
When they
quite like
remaster this for their next Blu-rays.
that's true. David Tennant's in it, so they will remaster it.
That's true. Yeah. They'll redo it.
Yeah,
They'll remove
but
it.
I don't normally
Like the Game of Thrones
yeah.
cut.
Yeah, I don't notice things quite like that normally, but I really did in this one.
But then at the same
I
time,
think they had to. They didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah,
to film
and those are
this.
things that have been pointed out over the course of 10 years.
Yeah.
So you're going to notice them more because you're more aware of them.
And we have to come up with 3 negatives, otherwise I wouldn't have mentioned
That's
it.
true. That's true. My next one is just some dodgy CGI. Not big CGI, just small bits. Mainly at the start when the helicopter and the Doctor's going on the London thing.
Mhm.
It's just helicopter.png going across the sky. I'm like, okay. And then the biggest of all is Doctor.png right at the end,
Yeah.
where you can see the nice 3 Doctors that were in the
It
episode.
really sucks.
Everyone
that
else
it's
just
so
2D
obvious.
images. So that,
I would have loved to see this in 3D because apparently that's like a proper 3D effect. Probably that would have looked better.
yeah.
Probably doesn't translate as well. But like particularly 8 and 9, their heads are a bit like, oh no. That's
Yeah,
not
and I mean,
quite right.
even if you want to argue it, it doesn't make sense in the context of
No.
the episode
Neither of
anyway,
us would implode.
because he's walked out onto something and
Just like a
is
viewing
just
deck.
with them all. I get it
Probably
for like
on-
a nice
He's on
in my
satellite
head
five,
thing.
I imagine.
Well, yeah, in like a nice head thing. It's like it makes sense, but it's just I think it's just a bit. They needed to finish it on like a
I
nice
imagine
uplifting note.
it probably feels like I think it probably is a dream. 'Cause he's talking about dreams and stuff, isn't it? So
yeah,
it's probably that.
and they need
but
to end it on something.
still-
so.
hasn't aged particularly well,
No.
and didn't. It aged for about 5 minutes. It aged well,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
the hype.
and then everyone
went.
went, "Oh."
But I love the moment enough
Yeah.
to be like, it's fine. But
Yes,
it is
exactly.
a shame that it looks like that.
Yeah.
I think the actress should just simply have not been dead.
Oh yeah, right.
Really
Just
selfish
recast
of them.
them. There's only 2 that haven't been recast yet. So
Incredibly selfish of them.
But yeah, it is what it is. It's fine. Your next negative?
Yes.
Is your final one?
This is my final
Fine.
one because I did kind of have like the final shots a bit janky.
Yeah.
And again, this is kind of I'm fine with it, but
Mhm.
and as much as I love Nick Curran, this might be an editing thing actually rather than directing.
Yeah.
There's just so many close-ups. Just,
Yeah.
like, needlessly cuts.
Like
It's
the,
fine when he first sees the painting and stuff. I kind of like how that is, but then
but
there's
it
one
morphs
random.
the eyes.
But a bit later on, there's one just of Billy Piper. It's like, just
Yeah.
randomly,
Yeah.
what's that?
I also think the one with Liz on the floor. I'm like, you don't need to have.
Yeah,
this
I don't
weird
mind that
nice
one,
shot.
but yeah, there's just I don't think you need
In terms
as
of
many
where
as
you
they
can
do.
cut it down, though, I think
Yeah.
it's not because you hear a scream, you could just
Yeah.
have the Doctor running on the field and her on the floor. And
Yeah.
you need to be like,
So there's just a lot of like I think unnecessary close-ups that don't really add much,
Yeah.
But the no more thing when he first sees the painting and stuff. I like how that
lots of
all
close-ups
goes.
of eyes.
Yes,
Matt
lots
Smith's
of
eyes,
eyes.
especially at the
Nick Curran's a
start.
big eye fan, maybe.
It tones down throughout the episode, I think, but right
It
at the
does.
start, it's like, oh, look at this, really
yeah,
close.
very kind of
Yeah.
showy. But yeah, there's still a lot of that. I'm just like, didn't really need that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
again,
so-
I needed a third negative. That's why I mentioned it.
No worries. My third negative, this might not surprise you. It's just the inclusion of
I've been waiting for this.
not the inclusion of Billy Piper, but the inclusion of her character.
Mhm.
I think I just can't get. I don't believe that this is the most important person to the Doctor in his entire life,
That's fair.
even up to the 11th
That's
Doctor.
fair.
Let's say, especially because it doesn't even make sense to the War Doctor, let alone like anyone else.
Yeah, that is fair.
It's like, oh, I picked this. It's like, yeah, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know. Just cast a random person if you're going to do that. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. Especially as the Bad Wolf person was never an actual thing, and it was somebody that was. It
Yeah.
wasn't a. It
She's
wasn't
there
a
for like
thing.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
Like, brings Jack back and then.
And it
he
dies.
kisses her.
Literally does. So I just think if you're going to have the moment, be it. And if you want, this is why I think a lot of criticism is that it's too New Who focused.
Mhm.
I think you need that to be a classic reference
Yeah.
at this point. Whether you want to make it Susan or even just somebody that looks like
I could have
Susan, or
fully-
just-
Well, if Elizabeth Sladen was still alive, I could fully imagine that being her.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's what they would have wanted to do if,
I imagine
if
that's
that
what
was
they
the
would have
case.
probably done.
But
That's
even-
someone that classic and New Who people. could love.
Yeah, but even so, you could still use. I mean, I don't know how many more. There's not really any of the classic companions that are that. Or you could put Ace in there if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You could even include Romana or someone like that, and but even Susan, you could not necessarily the actor of the time, but you could say, "Oh, I look like who she looks like now." If you just want to do that, or if you even wanted to add in more depth, just say, "Oh, I'm your daughter."
Your daughter.
Have another.
Just
Cast
Georgia
another,
Moffat.
cast another like big name actor to sort of play this weapon. I think, but
Yeah.
I get why they clearly wanted Billie Piper back, because she was like, "I ain't doing it if I'm Rose. You ain't making me do it."
Yeah, she didn't want to take away from Rose's story.
Yeah, which I think is a shame. I think it slightly hampers it, because I do like the moment as a character. I just don't think it should have been.
Billie Piper.
Rose or / Bad Wolf. Because I think it's a bit shoehorned in.
Or at the very least, like when she realizes, like, oh, I got it wrong, she'd become someone else.
Yes.
Like to get her in there was like, hey, Billie Piper's back.
Yeah, and I also think there's an element of that as well, is that it's very much like it's a clickbait. Oh, Billie Piper's back for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
She never interacts with David Tennant once.
No.
Sorry.
They stand next to each
guys.
other. That's it.
Yeah, they for one scene.
But
for
also,
one scene.
thank God.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think, but if you're going to bring her back, I think you should have it be set in series 2.
Mm-hmm.
But you just change it by not having it be
I
her.
think they wanted, I guess, more leeway with where it is for David Tennant rather than.
Yeah. Well, they clearly wanted it to be where he was by himself.
Yeah.
And his whole first season, he's not. So it's either going to be, it's always going to be post Billie Piper unless he's with Rose at that point.
Yeah.
But then you can have the whole Queen Liz relationship if Rose is there. Yeah. Obviously.
Oh, no, she would hate that.
Exactly. So I get why they've done that way, but I just don't think. I just can't believe it. I can't believe of all the people that he's met, both in the show and like in Big Finish and comics and all that kind of thing. I just don't. I don't believe this is the best person ever.
That's
not even like you could include not even Karen Gillan, like because Amy's probably just the same level as Rose for 11 than 10 was.
Yeah.
So I don't know why there's not.
I guess there are still millions out there who do believe that.
Yeah. So
since this is your review,
it's mine.
Fuck off.
You're wrong. You're
right. Wrong. I'm right about everything.
I am correct. This is the only correct opinion to have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. And like you said, she does give a really good performance.
Yeah.
And I do believe the performance
I'm glad the performance is in safe hands of someone who is.
And I can believe it's a different character and it's not.
Yeah,
Rose.
it does show her acting chops. I think.
Yeah, so I do appreciate it from that angle that it's not just I look like Rose and I act like Rose.
Yeah,
because I think that would have been too much. Too much.
I do respect her stance on not wanting to revisit Rose like that.
Kind of like Tom Baker not wanting to return to the full take on
exactly.
Screen.
And just not trying to like bend over backwards to like please the fans in that regard, like serving the story before the fans in that regard, which I do respect. But also, it probably could have been someone else.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Or been multiple people throughout.
Well, yeah, you couldn't just if you want to again similar to Power of the Doctor, where she switches between the different Doctors.
Yeah,
based
just
on
keep
who
the
she's
outfit
talking
the same, and then it's just loads of different people.
Yeah,
but that'd be a nice way of getting like some companions back into it or something.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I guess they technically did, but just the one companion.
Yes, or in Polaroid pictures on.
Yeah,
on a wall.
Many Polaroid pictures.
Yeah. Have you got any additional negatives?
I do not know.
No. My only other one sort of is that, as good as Clara is in this, I don't think she has too much to do.
No.
She's definitely a leftover bit, and she only
had her time.
Yeah. Well, that's it. She's more for the name of the Doctor, and then she's just the companion that needs to go through this so that she can stay on.
Yeah. I do like her getting away from Zygons. That's kind of the only thing she really has. And she is like that conversation with her and the War Doctor is really nice.
Yeah.
And she is the one that gets those Doctors to the War Doctor.
There are some nice moments, but ultimately, I don't think if you take her away, then not much.
She's not going to be the first thing you remember about this story.
No, definitely not. Although the scene of driving the motorbike into the TARDIS is pretty cool.
It is cool, and it's the motorbike from Bells St John.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have any additional negatives. Fair enough. I do want to point out though, the little bell noise when the Doctor winks at Osgood. Never noticed it before.
But haven't noticed that.
He winks and he goes ding.
Oh, it's like Matt
yeah, that's all I can think of.
Why have I not noticed
it's
that?
Like it's so faint. I had to rewind. I was like, did that just? And it is. It's very faint. Ding.
That's
I was like,
a choice.
Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, there's so much to like. We could just go through the whole thing. Like, yeah, it's great. But
yeah,
it's what it is.
Are you ready to rant about Tennant's hair? Or?
I mean, David Tennant's hair's it's fine. I don't think I hate it as much as I don't hate it. I don't have a bug about it as other people online do. I don't think I did have that much of one to start with. I think I only sort of noticed it more once.
And mine, the
people
camera
online.
light.
Yeah. I've never.
Times have changed.
In my head, I've never thought. I've never thought
I'm
I
right
enjoyed
about
it.
everything.
Only the music's been my big gripe in past.
That has been your
for
biggest
this one.
gripe, to be fair.
I think the hairs, it's fine. I think it's just an interesting choice as to why they did it.
Yeah.
I think it's more interesting because
Yeah,
it's not like it's not like he doesn't have the hair,
Yeah.
but just
I feel like it maybe was a bit too short for another part, and they just had to like, work with
yeah,
it.
maybe work with
and
it.
try and capture it as
and
best
it's
they could.
especially because now they're doing the 14th Doctor with the hair back again. It's kind of like
Yeah.
why don't you just do that? For
His
that?
hair for 14 is wild.
It really is.
Really spiky.
It's just he's even crazier.
Yeah. That's his Good Omens hair. that he's dyed.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So that's fine. And then his suit as well. I think, especially in the first scene with 10-11, I think is a little too.
Yeah.
It needs to go maybe just be adjusted slightly for filming, because he's older. He's older. He's not had to be in
He's not
the
14
role.
yet.
He's not had to be in this fit role, running about everywhere as he used to be. So no judgment on it. I just think the wardrobe department should
No
have
judgment.
been.
I just think he should be able to fit into his
Yeah,
suit.
I just think the wardrobe department should have been like, is that comfortable? Are you comfortable with that? And maybe he said he was.
Maybe he said he was.
But maybe somebody should have stepped in. I think
He probably wanted the authenticity of wearing that suit. that
Yeah,
he
I mean,
wore.
you could wear the suit and be fine with it, but because no one would have noticed if it was slightly adjusted. It's not like it would be like hanging off of him too baggy.
War Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Dun-dun-dun.
But yeah, I just think I mean it's fine. Of all of all the things that we could criticise, is the fact
that that's the main criticism,
Yeah.
along with the music that I see 10 years on, I think speaks to how good
yeah,
this story
there's nothing else wrong with it. It's just the not the practical ones, like the when you like someone but you only like them for their appearance.
Oh, what is that word?
Oh no.
Oh God, you're
that
so.
one.
Oh no,
It's
that's gonna
that
bug
one.
me. That's gonna bug me.
It's that.
I'm
When
just gonna think about
when you
that
judge
forever
someone just for their appearance and
I
that's
guess
what you like.
shallow.
Yeah, kind of the shallow.
I
Yeah,
know there's
it's
a
not
word
what I'm
beginning
thinking
of
of,
it. It's
but
like peas.
maybe
I
we'll
think,
maybe we'll come up with it.
We won't.
But
But if you do, add it here.
yeah, please. Or if somebody else can comment, that'd be great. If you've
That'd be
made it to 57 minutes,
Yeah.
thanks.
Oh, God.
But yes, that's it for the positives and negatives. However, I believe there's quite a few fun facts for this
So
week.
many. So
Let's
many.
see how quickly we can get through these.
Oh, thank God we're not doing this over the internet.
Oh,
This would have been so
yeah, it would be
tense.
horrible.
Okay, buckle up, kids.
Mhm.
This is the first full-length multi-doctor story of the BBC Wales era, the first story shot in stereoscopic 3D, and the
Ooh.
first story to be broadly available in cinemas in a number of different countries.
What other episodes filmed in 3D or available in
No,
3D?
this is the first story shot.
Yeah, but I mean, moving forwards.
Yeah.
So it's the first and only story shot in
Maybe.
3D.
Maybe. I guess we'll find out when we get to fun facts.
Maybe Deep Breath is probably one of them, isn't it? That feels like
It was in
one
cinema. I
of
don't
them.
know if it was 3D. We'll
Yeah.
find out when we get to Deep Breath.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. This episode saw the return of David Tennant as the 10th Doctor following his departure from the programme 3 years prior. That felt like much longer than 3 years at the
It
time.
really did, because obviously you've had three whole seasons between now and then.
Matt
haven't
Smith's
you?
been gone 10 years.
Yeah, God, David Tennant's been gone 10 years.
No, he hasn't.
Well, since
He's still
2013.
here.
Well, yeah, had been gone 10 years. Oh, no,
He's been a
9
doctor
years.
for nearly
Actually.
a year
Yeah,
again.
it's true. It's true. Oh my God.
God. It's disgusting. It aired at the same time around the globe, setting the world record for the largest ever simulcast of a television drama, viewable in 94 countries and 1,500 cinemas worldwide.
Madness.
Thank God we're in the place where it aired at a decent time.
Yeah.
Thank God. It was the most watched drama on the BBC in 2013, not surprising, with 12.3 million watching live and a further 3.2 million iPlayer requests. It broke records in a number of countries around the world as well. Not surprising. Due to its theatrical run and excellent home video sales, it is the story with the highest gross of worldwide sales in Doctor Who history.
Wow.
Its success led to a theatrical release and simulcast of Deep Breath in August 2014.
And then they went, oh, not doing
Then-
that again.
Oh, no, that was quite as well
Whoopsie.
received. Let's not do that again. Oh, God, we're not making money. Stop doing that. It saw the debut of both a new sonic screwdriver and TARDIS console room, predating the events of Series 1 as a one-off. I'm glad that War got his own sonic.
Yeah.
That's why I did assume Shooty would get his own new one.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that is
Because
the case.
they don't really, other than 9 and 10, they've not kept going, have they? So
Yeah. The War Doctor's existence came to be to compensate for the absence of the Ninth Doctor, who originally played that role in the script. Moffat had several meetings and dinners with Christopher Eccleston discussing the story and the part, but Eccleston respectively declined to take part in the story. A new incarnation was brought in that didn't go by the Doctor title so as to not disturb the numbering. We all know this. by now.
wrong.
Incorrect. Oh, God. Even the first Doctor's now Doctor 3000.
Doctor 453.
Disgusting. The story notably features an uncredited cameo from Peter Capaldi as the incoming 12th Doctor, whose casting had been announced 3 months prior. This is the first time a Doctor has made their debut in the show before their initial regeneration scene.
Unless you count the weird Watcher guy in the 4th Doctor's regeneration.
No one counts that, because no one knows what the
Nobody
fuck that is.
knows what the fuck happened there.
No one knows what is
It's
going
never
on.
happened since, and it never will.
Capaldi recorded his cameo on the same day he shot his scene for the time of the Doctor, which obviously makes sense.
Oh, fair enough.
Moffat had to fight to keep the War Doctor's regeneration into the 9th in the story, adamant he wanted a complete set of
Maybe he
regenerations on screen up to Smith's incarnation. I'm glad it's there. They just could have done something better.
Just shit.
It's shit. Do better.
How dare you, Moffat? I don't care how much pressure you're under. Should have
I
better.
don't care how hard this was for you. Can't believe you had to fight to keep
God's
elements in
sake.
your own script. BBC, what are you doing? Anyway. The story saw the return of the Zygons after extensive
It did?
use in extended media. Yes. Last seen on screen in their first and only appearance in the 1978 Fourth Doctor story, Terror of the Zygons,
not-
38 years
It's
earlier.
not bad to have a monster still be that memorable
Yeah.
after only appearing in one story
Yeah,
as
must
well.
have been good.
Especially considering if
It
you
is a
think
great
of-
design, isn't it?
Well, it really is a good design. The fact that it hadn't
And it's
made a
basically
return
unchanged
since.
as well.
Yeah, in like the 7 years since. And then, because if a monster's really good in New Who now, they're back in 2 years.
Yeah,
So it's baffling that they hadn't done it before.
yeah, it is insane. And of course it gave us the iconic, don't mind if I do.
And like, it just doesn't make sense.
Which we suddenly started quoting, but there you go. The Zygons are David Tennant's favourite Doctor Who monster, and having been disappointed not to fight them during his tenure, were included as a gift to him. Isn't that
Good
sweet?
for him.
Good for her. In a 2014 Doctor Who magazine poll, The Day of the Doctor ranked as readers' favourite Doctor Who story of all time. In 2023, it was additionally voted as the readers' favourite 11th Doctor story for the second time. So, still
Was it included in the
responsible.
10th Doctors? Probably not, was
No,
it?
because it's during Master's era.
It's
isn't it?
cheating, isn't it? You can't do that.
Yeah, that
It should be in the 10th.
You
If
can't
it's in the 11th,
retroactively add a
if
10th Doctor story.
if it's in the 11th, it should be in the 10th because he's
Yeah,
he's
but
in it
11
probably just
is
as much.
The main Doctor.
I
isn't it?
know.
Like,
I
the Three
know.
Doctors isn't the Hartnell and Troughton story.
No, but I don't think they have a bigger part to play as 10 does in.
Troughton's in Three Doctors.
I
just
suppose
as much as those.
Troughton is, yeah.
You
Yeah,
can't
maybe.
Think of the forums and the wikis
That's true.
retroactively adding stories in.
Yeah.
You mad man. The Day of the Doctor was part of the 2020 Doctor Who lockdown rewatch events on Twitter, organised by Emily Cook. It got the hashtag Save the Day, hashtag trending again, 7 years later, and for the special occasion, Stephen Moffat wrote a new introduction to the story called Strax Save the Day, in line with other preludes to the story featuring Strax that played during cinema screenings of the special. Yes, boy. The opening sequence of a police officer walking across the sign for Totter's Lane junkyard is a recreation of the opening shot of the very first episode of the show. Clara is also shown to be working at Coal Hill School, where Susan went in An Unlucky Child, and where teachers Ian and Barbara, the first ever companions, worked. A sign outside the school shows that Ian is now the chairman of the governors, as well as stating the headmaster is W. Coburn, references to An Unearthly Child's respective director and writer, Waris Hussein and Anthony Coburn.
Did you say she? Which is his line in
Yes,
Power of the
it is.
Doctor? It is.
Yes. And he
He's fine
will.
with it.
Yes, he returned 9 years after that on screen.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Make him in the longest. Was it the longest?
Absent.
The
I think.
longest
Yeah,
gap between episodes
appearances,
in
yeah.
TV
So
or
it's
something
like
like that?
1964 when he was last.
Baffling.
Insane. He's like 90 something.
Madness. What a man.
And his son is in the Harry Potter movies. What's his name? Dean in the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, right.
So there you go.
Yeah.
King. Kate is shown twice calling someone called Malcolm, a possible reference to the character played by Lee Evans.
Definitely
in Planet
a
of the
reference. Not
Apes. I
possible.
would assume.
Almost
It's not
definitely is.
confirmed, so I had to
No.
put possibly.
Does it twice? I didn't realise it was twice, but she
It's
does, doesn't
twice,
it? She
yeah.
does it once with the Ravens and once with the Get My Report, bitch.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes. And stay tuned for more on that report.
Lee Evans had retired by everything at that point, hadn't he?
Lee Evans
He's
is
like-
just a recluse.
He just left. So
Fair enough.
Don't blame him. He made his money and dipped.
He came
Fair.
in, was in an episode, and dipped out.
He was in an episode and left. That's what did it. That's what ended his career.
I'm sure he was
So-
pleased with this reference. Though.
Yes.
Okay, are you ready? The two boards of photos in the black archives of the Doctor's previous associates feature, and this is, I think, just going from like left to right across the two
Okay.
boards, but I haven't confirmed that. Susan Foreman, Captain Mike Yates, and Sarah Kingdom, who for some reason are in a photo together, but they never met. So that's fun. And Sarah Kingdom just died, so interesting. Polly Wright, Dodo Chaplet, Zoe Herriot, Mark Sullivan with Sergeant Benton and Sarah Jane Smith, K9 Mark III, Barbara Wright, Ian Chesterton, Ben Jackson, Jamie McCrimmon, Zoe Herriot again, but this time with the Brigadier,
Uh-huh.
Sergeant Benton again, but this time with Leela, Vicky Pallister, Victoria Waterfield, Joe Grant with Sergeant Benton again, because those two were kind of a thing, Liz Shaw with the Brigadier again, Romana 2, Stephen Taylor, Katarina, rest in peace, Romana 1, Tegan Javanka with Nissa, Grace Holloway, hooray!
Yay!
Didn't actually show her because I didn't have the rights to show her. Donna Noble, Amy Pond with Kate Stewart, Clara Oswald with Kate Stewart, Adric, everyone's favourite, the Brigadier again, Chameleon, Captain Magambo with Rose Tyler from Turn Left, Wilfred Mott, Perry Brown, Brigadier Bambara with Ace, she was the replacement
Oh,
Brigadier.
yeah.
Martha Jones, Mickey Smith, Adam Mitchell was there for some reason. Lieutenant Sanchez and Sarah Jane, I don't know who that is, I haven't watched that story. Rory Williams, Turlo, Mel Bush, Jack Harkness, Craig Owens, and finally River Song with Kate in tow as well.
Craig? What's Craig doing there?
He's had connections.
Why would it be in the Black Archive?
Because everyone goes to the Black
Clearly.
Everyone goes there in the end. So basically, there's
Even
a lot
the
of...
Sarah Jane Adventures, they go to the Black Archive. Definitely
That's
the same
true.
one.
Definitely the same one. They definitely had access to that. So, yeah, basically every companion ever is on there. And I would say go and see the prop at the Doctor Who experience, but that is long closed.
Yeah.
So, tough shit.
Sorry,
You missed
guys.
it, sorry. That prop does not exist anymore, I
No,
imagine.
it's probably burned.
Doctor Who magazine comic writer Tommy Dombavand was diagnosed with cancer in 2016, and 2 story anthologies to raise money for him were published. The second featured a scene from the Day of the Doctor's original draft featuring the 9th Doctor that Moffat donated.
Oh.
So I'm sure that's online for you to check out somewhere. 2 specially recorded scenes featured before the special at its showing in cinemas. The first was Strax lecturing the audience on cinema etiquette, and the second featured the 10th and 11th Doctors instructing viewers on putting on their 3D glasses, ending with a brief cameo from John Hurt's War Doctor. While knowing the episode would be screened in 3D, director Nick Curran made sure his shooting style wasn't influenced too much by this, researching a back catalogue of 3D films to see what would work for him and what wouldn't. The biggest differences in the 3D version are, you're going to be shocked by this one, the 3D paintings.
Whoa!
The logo at the start and the shot of all the Doctors at the end. While Moffat admitted to not being a huge fan of 3D films, he believed the 3D version of The Day of the Doctor was the more satisfying one to watch.
Why make it 3D? That's no need.
Because that was the thing at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it probably was. It's just after Avatar, wasn't it? No, 2008 was Avatar. Never mind.
Yeah, many years after Avatar, but it was during that time.
Yeah.
Like 2007,
3D
everything had an
TVs.
embossed DVD cover. 2013, everything's in 3D.
Yeah. Steelbooks in 2015.
Yeah, and then IMAX and shit.
IMAX, yeah. 4DX.
I haven't done 4DX, I'm
Oh,
sure it's
boy.
great. But anyway, there's that. This is my favourite one. When pre-production began on the special, Jenna Coleman was the only one contracted to appear. This is also the first time she's credited as Jenna Coleman on screen. She dropped the Louise this episode onwards. Moffat jokingly started writing the story at this point, featuring only her, tentatively called The No Doctors, in case none of the other actors ended up appearing in
Could
it.
you imagine?
That would be so fucking funny.
That would be so funny, and people would be so annoyed.
Yeah. Like,
Just Dr.
imagine
Light
You,
for the
you just
50th.
sit down watching the video on us. It's just, I mean, I'd be here, for it, but it's
True.
just Jenna Coleman, and that's it.
Yeah. God.
Absolutely hilarious. On declining to return, Chris Eccleston said, "When I read the script, I felt it was just Matt, David and I riffing off the fact that we used to be doctors. I didn't feel the narrative was strong enough for the Ninth Doctor because I had taken quite a lot of abuse in my own country when I left. As the show was being celebrated, I was being abused in the press, and that was hard to take and very confusing. So I looked at it and thought, is this really how I want to come back? And I decided it wasn't. Moffat sent Eccleston the revised script featuring the War Doctor to read, and he got back in touch to tell him it was immaculate, which is very wholesome.
Yeah, I think now he definitely is more. He's more around to the show. So obviously in that,
He's definitely more open to taking part in conventions and stuff, but he'll never be in it.
No, I highly doubt it.
Certainly not now.
Unless we get proved wrong in 3 months and miraculously.
When he
is
appears
there.
as AI.
Yeah,
But yeah,
he's the new curator.
can you imagine? The War Doctor was originally called the Renegade Doctor in the first draft featuring that incarnation. Sure. I prefer War Doctor, so good. Prior to the episode, John Hurt was marketed as the other Doctor, even in his action figure form, to keep his role in the story under wraps. Billie Piper was also credited in marketing and in the episode's credits as Rose to keep her role as the moment a secret.
Yes, wrong. Wrong.
Wrong! How dare they?
I think that's why a lot of people
Sue
were
'em.
disappointed in it. Well, not in it, but in
Well,
her
that's
role.
their problem.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say because they were told this is Rose. So I mean, if you're going
They
in there
also
expecting,
told the Doctors weren't going to be in it.
I know. But if you're going in there expecting to see Rose and you get that, you're probably going to be a bit annoyed, aren't you? And a bit miffed.
Oh, if only you had three seasons worth of content.
It's like if you went to see a Spider-Man movie and you're like, yeah, he's definitely Spider-Man, but then he turned out to be Ant-Man. I don't know, and there was no Spider-Man in it whatsoever.
That's the same
or
thing.
It was just Tom Holland but playing Ant-Man, not Spider-Man.
Yes, that's the same thing.
It is the same thing. Yeah. Same actor playing a different role, but you were told that it was going to be one thing.
Well, if the film's good, if their part's good, and her part was good. Like, you've got many seasons of Rose to
That's true, it's true.
Like,
two, you've got two.
Well,
two
four is basically all about
yeah,
her, and
yeah,
three is
yeah.
technically all about her. But, you know, it's fine.
Sadly, 3 is all about Rose.
Yes, it is. The story begins with a shortened version of the title sequence that debuted in 1963 with An Unearthly Child, last used in 1967's The Moon Base with Patrick Troughton 47 years prior. This makes The Day of the Doctor the only story to use a retired title sequence rather than the current one or introducing a new one. The closing credit sequence is obviously quite new, as all the Doctor's faces.
Yeah.
And much like the two Doctors, the opening sequence starts black and white before fading into colour. The TARDIS interior set's floor was raised during production of this story to make it easier for Jenna Coleman's stunt double to ride the motorbike clean the inside. The soundtrack of the Doctor hanging out of the TARDIS as the cast credits roll is an orchestral re-recording of a track from Aliens of London, of all the episodes to nick it from. So there you go. This is the first episode since the 11th hour to feature the middle 8 of the theme tune in the closing credits. The episode won the Radio Times 2014 Audience Award at the British Academy Television Awards. This is the final time the 11th Doctor is seen wearing a fez.
For now.
For now, until he doesn't come back in the city. The promise the Doctor state they make is actually taken from a passage from the reference book The Making of Doctor Who by Terence Dix. So, what a man. Archive footage and recordings during the appearance of the previous Doctors include the first Doctor from the Daleks and newly recorded audio by John Guyler. Very good impression.
Yeah.
The second Doctor in the Tomb of the Cybermen and the Mind Robber with audio from the Seeds of Death. The third Doctor in Colony in Space with audio from the Green Death. The fourth Doctor from Planet of Evil with audio they still haven't found to this day. God knows where that comes from. The fifth Doctor from Pontios with audio from the Five Doctors. Sixth Doctor footage and audio from Attack of the Cybermen. Seventh Doctor in Battlefield and the TV movie with audio from Battlefield.
TV and the TV movie?
Yeah. At some point in the background. The 8th Doctor, obviously from the TV movie, and the 9th Doctor from Rose, Aliens of London, and The Parting of the Ways.
Yeah, Slovene rep in the video.
Hooray! Finally. The War Doctor's regeneration shows hints of the 9th Doctor's face, but not a full transformation. In deciding to cut the scene short, Moffat said, "It was one thing to include him among all the other archive Doctors as they flew in to save the day. In fact, it would have been disgraceful to have left anyone out. But placing him in that scene might have given the impression he turned up for filming, which would have been crossing the line. Not taking part in the 50th was a difficult decision for Chris, taking after a lot of thought and with great courtesy, and not respecting his wishes would have been grossly unprofessional and disrespectful to a good man and a great Doctor. Number 9 may not have turned up for the celebrations, but there would have been no party without him." And this is the first time Eccleston is credited as the Doctor and not Doctor Who, because that's what they did in series 1. Thank God. The photos of the Doctor in the end credits are the same ones used in Nightmare in Silver, with 2 additional photos added for War Doctor and 11. So, quick work for them on the department.
Already had that done.
Yeah. Originally, the script featured posters of the Peter Cushing movies and revealed they were American adaptations of Companion's accounts of travelling with the Doctor. It ultimately proved too expensive to include.
Boo.
Bloody copyright. I've already talked about the close about his face. Much more music was composed and recorded for the episode that was then used in the final product, much of it released in the complete soundtrack. These tracks include an original composition for the Doctor hanging out of the TARDIS at the start, a theme for the creator called Song for Four, which was later reworked into The Time of the Doctor and retitled Snow over Trenzalore. The original unaltered piece was used in Deep Breath when the 11th Doctor calls Clara. So we got it in the end, just like 9 months later. Stephen Moffat called the Doctor's actions less changing the past and more living the story of what actually happened, so he doesn't believe the Doctor ever actually pushed the button, which I guess is fair. Matt Smith and Billy Piper had previously worked together in an episode of Secret Diary of a Call Girl and TV adaptations of Philip Pullman's Sally Lockhart books, coincidentally Piper's first role after leaving the show in 2006. Smith and Tennant were both keen for Piper to be involved, and she was ultimately included. Joanna Page had just given birth when offered the part of Queen Elizabeth. She resigned herself to taking a break from acting at the time, but after getting the offer, she couldn't say no. So there's just a baby on set for all this, which I love the thought of. Outside of the Fourth Doctor scarf, Osgood has another references to the show's past. with a unit scientist called Osgood featuring in one story in the 1970s, so there's possibly like a familial connection there, which is fun. As Clara drives away from the school, the clock can be seen showing the time is 5:16 p.m, the exact time an unearthly child first aired. The wall in the gallery where the curator and the Doctor meet features roundels exactly like the ones in the Fourth Doctor's TARDIS, so make of that what you will. The moment's description of the TARDIS sound being a wheezing groaning is a reference to its frequent description as such by writers in the Target novelizations. Shout out to the Target novelizations. Got to get you in there eventually. When Kate realises there are multiple Doctors involved, she asks for a file named Chroma, a reference to the Three Doctors where the Brigadier believed Chroma was what was revealed to be an antimatter universe where Omega resided. Kate also mentions a confusion as to what decade the file belongs to, referencing the real-life fan-dubbed unit dating controversy, in which fans constantly argue over exactly what time period the unit era of the show is set in. The access code for Jack's Vortex Manipulator is 1716231163, the time and date Doctor Who first aired.
Oh, good for them.
Good for her. Visitors of the Doctor Who experience were able to see the extra notes and details on the prop of the companion's photos from the Black Archive, showing Ace's full name is Dorothy Gale McShane. Romana too came from the House of Heartshaven on Gallifrey and eventually became the president. We know that from Time Fracture.
Oh.
Barbara Wright wrote a GCSE textbook about journeys through history.
Bloody nerd.
And Harry Sullivan went on to work for both NATO and MI5.
What an imbecile.
He's an imbecile. He's also one of the best classic companions.
Yeah.
Come at me. He's great. And this is the last one. It's the last one.
Well, hey.
Oh, heck. Some props seen in the Black Archive, other than the Vortex Manipulator, include a Magna Clamp from Doomsday, a Cyberman head, River Song's Red Heels, a piece of TARDIS coral from Jack's desk in Torchwood, and one of the Gauntlet Life things from Torchwood as well.
No.
Amy's Psych Probe from The Girl Who Waited,
God.
Amy's little pinwheel she has in her garden from the 11th Hour, a Clockwork Droid mask from Girl in the Fireplace, the chair the Master and the Doctor had been restrained in from The End of Time.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Sure, why not? Supreme Dalek head from The Stolen Earth, and a Dalek Tommy gun from Evolution of the Daleks.
What have we got in the prop store we can just shove in the scene?
There's a lot of Dalek stuff there. Just pull out the Dalek box.
Makes sense. Yeah, just open up. Oh, go get the Dalek head. Oh, lovely.
It's done, Sam.
Great,
it's done.
Great fun facts.
God.
Have you got any other notes you wanna hit on before we finish?
No, it's just I love this story. I think they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Given all the circumstances, all the limitations in the BBC. In fact, that was one I forgot to read out. I think I forgot to write that one down. The fact that after Eccleston said no, Moffat's original plan was to get a classic Doctor in that role, like McGann, and the BBC said no and vetoed it. Which I don't think they do now, but they did back then.
No, they definitely wouldn't do anymore because I think they've got a bit more faith in this show.
Yeah. So there you go.
But yeah, that's fair enough. I want to point out the spooky jump scare noise that happens a couple of times in the episode.
Whoa!
Yeah, there's no need for that.
When she transforms, like when Saigon walks and then she's Kate's legs.
Yeah, yeah, and when in the picture I was like, oh, the figures aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. But I think that's pretty much out. I'll put a number of points. Omega, you say? Oh, Omega.
Whoa.
It's not nothing. Ignore
he was a Time Lord. It's fine.
Ignore that. The High Council, you say? Oh. But yeah, good. Out of 10, Day of the Doctor. What are you giving Day of the Doctor?
9.5 from me.
Nice. There's no Slovene, so it's a 0 out of 10.
Thanks for watching.
It's a 9 from me.
So good.
It's great, and I feel like 9s are 10s effectively.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
But
I've given like 2 10s.
Yeah,
3 years.
It's
4 years.
quite hard to be pleased. But
yeah, with everything that surely was going against this and everything that could have gone wrong, the fact that it was this good is genuinely impressive. Yeah, and it's so hard to just overstate how big this was at the time. It was everywhere,
and for it to still hold up very well 10 years on. As
when
well.
When we watched The Night of the Doctor and the trailer played at the end, it's like,
yeah,
God, this is so good. The hype.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's so good. Obviously, there was loads of other media around the 50th at the time. We've already looked at Night of the Doctor as well, which came out before this, which is great. But they had loads of documentaries. They also had Adventure in Space and Time, which was a Doctor drama, good. Which is also very good, and I highly check out. It's also got Sacha Dhawan in it, who obviously goes on to play the Master.
And obviously, they spawned a new first Doctor for us as well.
Yeah,
that was his first time, David Bradley playing William Hartnell.
Which is great.
And I think the actors who played like in Chesterton and stuff then played them in Big Finish characters, which is cool.
Which, it's great. Bar the dodgy Matt Smith appearance at the end, it's pretty good.
Yeah. But we love it.
We do love it.
The best
but
thing.
Next up, we'll be saying goodbye to the 11th Doctor with
No, I don't think so.
Time of the Doctor is up next.
No.
Christmas special, 2013 Christmas special.
God.
10
years.
We're another 10 years ago. Yeah, we're getting closer to now.
Yeah.
What do you remember about this episode? What are you expecting out of it?
I'm expecting depression
Just constant
and pain.
Uh-huh.
Just the bit where she has to help him with the cracker. I'm tearing up thinking about that now. And then when they do it again in Last Christmas, that he's helping old Clyde. But yeah, I love the story. I was kind of meh on it when it first aired, and every subsequent viewing I've liked it more and more. So those things, once you know what you're getting into, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
It definitely had that effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, again, it's one of the impossible feats of this was originally going to be an entire season. We now have to do it in an hour. And I think the fact that it's even somewhat cohesive as an end to that is great. I think it's a brilliant wrap up to Matt's run on the show. I think he's fantastic in it. I think Jenna's fantastic in it. And thinking about Amy's cameo again.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just that whole last speech. I love my hopeful regeneration.
Return of the Silence as well.
Return of the Silence. We kind of see what their whole deal was.
Yeah.
Seeing them fight side by side with him.
With that excellent shot.
Yeah, that
The
trailer.
silhouette.
When we first got the trailer for this episode, and you see the silences in it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This planet. What's it called? Trenzalore. Oh fuck.
Oh no.
He's going to die.
I'm going to die.
But yeah, I think it's a very fitting kind of final stand for Matt Smith and 11. I'm very excited to revisit it. I do watch this every Christmas, so it's been like 8 months since I last
It is a
watched
nice
it.
Christmassy episode as well.
It's very good. Actually, no, it's 8 months. I watched it before Power of the Doctor as well to get
Literally
ready.
8 months as well. 'Cause it's been 24th of August at time
Oh
of
god, yeah.
recording, so it would have been
very,
about 8
very
months
close.
ago.
God, I would have been dreading the day this time 10 years ago. But yeah, I really enjoyed the story. It's great. I do think it's the weakest of the Doctor trilogy, but it's still a very fitting kind of farewell for Matt and that entire era. And then we bring on Capaldi. But Clara's still there, so all is well.
Yeah, it certainly is. Handles, don't forget Handles.
Handles is great.
He's gonna be
And
in this.
he's voiced by Nandor from What We Do in the Shadows.
Which
is iconic.
Oh, nice, lovely.
Guillermo.
But yeah, that's it. I'm very excited for Time of Doctor. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think I say a while, a few months, because I tend to watch these 3 in a row. Because it only feels fair. So I'm excited to see what I've forgotten.
I know one of your negatives already.
The
fucking
silly
Sontaran
Sontarans.
scene.
That's the worst one.
Oh,
I know you have to defeat them, but why they shouldn't be that stupid. They're supposed to be. We'll come on to it. They're supposed to be so like.
It dawns Strax, of course that batch is stupid.
I know it's true. If it's the same batch as Strax, it's fine.
It's the same actor, I assume it's the same
Well,
batch.
yeah, but it's true. But yeah, we'll come on to that. There's loads of other stuff we can talk about.
We've now talked for longer than the runtime of the Day of the
Yes,
Doctor.
I mean a lot of that was fun facts. So
That's true.
sorry.
That was like 20 minutes.
But yes, hopefully we'll be back with Time of the Doctor to round out Matt Smith's next time, which hopefully should be in a few days. Bye bye.
Bye.